How's it going, everybody? It's the John Little Fox here. It's my channel where I talk about anime, video games, cartoons, most notably Sonic and Ninja Turtles. And today, I'm here to talk about some anime. Specifically, I'm going to be talking about My Hero Academia. If you read the title of the video, you already know it has something to do with shipping. So you already know I'm going to be on it and stuff. I'm going to be talking about the recent controversy that's been going on with the recent, the bonus chapter of My Hero Academia, or the official final chapter. So I'm going to give you my thoughts. I haven't read it yet, but I'm just going to give you, like, you know, my takeaway from all this. Alright, so let's get right into it. Alright, so let me give you a quick little rundown. So the bonus chapter of My Hero Academia, chapter 431, got leaked online, implying that Deku and Ochako are now officially becoming a couple, as they should. And the shipping community is kind of in an uproar about it, and personally, I think this is well deserved, because this is Ochiko's main character arc and something that's kind of been built up since like the start of the series. So to kind of have seem, you know, in its original ending, kind of seem a little underwhelming, you know. So yeah, like honestly, that's what I was saying. Like from I've said in my previous video about My Hero Academia, how like chapter 430 kind of felt a bit underwhelming, and it honestly wasn't the best send off for Deku and stuff. It did him no favors. Like he lost his powers, he didn't end up with Ochako or anything. And you know, it's just like, wow, like it's just like, damn, like this whole series is supposed to be about building up Deku and him eventually becoming the symbol of peace and all that stuff. So it just felt like, oh, that was a bit of a cop out. But regardless though, I don't mind some of the stuff, but then some of the stuff I'm just like, yeah, but where's the payoff though, you know what I mean? But one of those specific things is definitely the Deku and the Ochako thing, where I'm just like, yeah, there was like no payoff to that or anything. There was nothing that implied, like, yeah, Ochako was there. She's already a pro hero now. She's traveling like across like the country, across Japan, visiting like, you know, kids and stuff like that, helping out. You know what I mean? Cool stuff. And then, you know, Deku, he became a teacher. Makes sense. You know, he's at UA and stuff. Him and Mr. Aizawa are both teaching some students and all that. Sounds pretty cool, but I kind of wish that Deku was just, you know, obviously he can live his dream as the pro hero and stuff, you know. He can probably do the like teaching on the side. He could have been like a substitute teacher or whatever, and he could have just, you know, still kept his powers, and he still could have like, you know, still save the day and just do hero work, you know what I mean? Or he could have opened up his own hero agency and stuff, and it's like, oh, this really big hero agency. But yeah, but that's where I stand on that one. Now, before I go into the main root of the problem here, the controversy, I'm going to explain my point of view first. Now, I've definitely said before, and I even said in my last video, that I do have some interesting alternatives, what would have been interesting, or maybe on the table if, like, Deku was like, oh, you know what I mean, what could have been, like, you know, an interesting love interest could have been, like, Sue or Hatsume and stuff, since Deku kind of also finds them both to be attractive, and they're also pretty close in some ways. But that can kind of be just left up to like fanfic or like headcanons and stuff, rather than being the actual story itself, because it would kind of just feel a little bit out of left field, because, you know, Ochako was always being built up to be like Deku's main love interest from inception, okay? Now, not to mention, just in character wise, it kind of wouldn't really make sense for like Sue to definitely be messing around with Deku or whatever, because, you know, like her and Ochako are best friends, so like why would you want to, you know what I mean, mess with a guy that you know that your best friend has a crush on or whatever, you know what I mean? And then there's been some times where like, yeah, Sue's definitely been trying to help out like Ochako and stuff, like even during that final battle with like Toga and stuff, and Deku was there. Sue was trying to like get Deku to keep it moving and stuff before like Toga disclosed anything. It was like because she was ready to like, you know, tell Deku about how Ochako feels about him, and Sue was like, nah, I don't want Toga to mess this one up for Ochako. So she was like, Deku, don't you got somewhere to be? He's like, yeah, you're right, I gotta go fight Shigaraki. So yeah, but nah, I don't think she would want to, like, you know, like what kind of friend would do that, unless, you know what I mean, unless stuff happened like, oh, okay, and then like you might get their permission or something, like once after like they might have dated or something like that. That's how I could kind of see that making sense, but nah. But regardless though, that's an alternative for me. And then Hatsume, I think, could probably make an interesting alternative as well, since her and Deku are kind of somewhat close and stuff. I know, well, they're definitely close in some ways, but that's neither here nor there. But regardless though, nah, that kind of thing doesn't really interest Hatsume, honestly. because Hatsume is more so into like her. She's more committed to her work than a relationship. You know what I mean? Or more into like building robots and stuff or whatever. Oh yeah, would you like to take a look at my babies? Or that's Hatsume, bro. But I'm just saying. But those are some interesting alternatives that I have, and it's not just say that I don't like Deku and Ochiko together. Of course, no, they're definitely cute together and stuff. You know what I mean? Because even with me and Son Amy, like I mean, I like of course I like Sonic and Amy together. But even at that, I do have some alternatives. Like oh well, like I guess a interesting idea could have also been like Sonic and Blaze, or if some ways maybe if Amy had an alternative, it could have been like Bark the Polar Bear, because it seems like from the classic comics, or not the classic comics, but they're the classic versions of themselves in the comics and stuff in the IDW comics recently. It seems like Amy and Bark have some pretty interesting chemistry, so that's a little bit of a secondary ship of mine. But I primarily ship Sonic and Amy together, of course. You know what I mean? But regardless, though, but if I wasn't, then I'll probably go about it that way. But anyways, well, back to Deku and Ochiko. So it's kind of like that too. So I'm like, yeah. So there's nothing wrong with having alternatives and all that. Or maybe sometimes maybe the you don't like the main heroine and stuff. Maybe they might come off as unlikable or whatever, or not a good fit. So you kind of want to like put a like alternative or another suggestion there. But yeah. But no, I don't really see that with again. I don't see that with Deku and Ochiko. I'm like, no, they're perfect for each other, and there's nothing problematic about either one. So I'm like, yeah. So what's the big deal? And then outside of the three girls that I just mentioned for Deku and stuff, I really can't really see any other girl really getting with Deku like that. I know a lot of people jokingly pair Deku with that shark girl that he saved from the Vigilante arc. Then there's Melissa Shield, which that can also be interesting too, but there's a little bit of an age gap between them, and it's not supposed to be like a romantic relationship. It's just supposed to be like a parallel that All Might had with Melissa's dad, David Shield, who was kind of like his best friend from America and stuff, who used to be like kind of like he used to like support him tech wise and everything. But yeah, but I can't really see any other girl from like, especially from Class 1A. Like I can't see Mina, Koyoka, Yayarosa, Hagakure, or anyone like any other girl, like except for like maybe those three in particular, just being with Deku and stuff, because Deku's just cool with them. Yeah, like he's just yeah. But anyways, that's pretty much all right. So what is with the controversy? What is some people's qualms and stuff with the whole Deku ending up with Ochiko thing? Okay. Well, as you can probably guess, it has something to do with the shippers. Okay, it's definitely, and mostly in my opinion, I think it's the Yaoi and the Yuri shippers. Okay, it's always got to be those main suspects that think that Deku should be with Bakugo, and that for some weird reason that they think that Ochiko should be with Toga. Now, starting with Toga and the Ochiko thing, and this is very, very easy to debunk, okay? Toga is dead for starters, okay? That's one. Like, she's dead, all right? Like, yeah. Like, if spoilers, obviously, I mean, we all know at this point in My Hero Academia, Toga died because she transferred her blood to, like, all of her blood, or, well, she did a blood, I can't speak. She did a blood transfusion to save Ochiko's life and everything, after they had their final battle and stuff, as like, to show her gratitude and stuff for like reaching out to her and everything. But yeah, she died. Okay, that's one. Two, second off, she wasn't really like, she was an obsessive stalker and a killer. Like, so why would anyone want to root for that to happen between Ochiko and Toga to be together when, again, she's a stalker and a killer. She's a serial killer at that, working with the League of Villains. I know she has a cute appearance and stuff, and she's kind of a little creepy hot, but she's a mass murderer. But she's a mass murderer though, and is working with other mass murderers. So why would Ochiko get with her like that? You know what I mean? And not to mention, like, when Ochiko first met Toga, if I'm not mistaken, it was back in the season 2, when they were training in the camp and all that stuff, and they first met. Yeah, like Ochiko was creeped out by Toga. She was like, "What the fuck?" Like, yeah, like, she was weird, creepy, fighting with knives and shit, drinking people's blood. Yeah, why would Ochiko find that to be appealing? You know what I mean? So, no, of course she's not going to end up with her. Yeah, I know Toga had a thing for Ochiko because Toga, she easily falls in love with people and stuff like that, or cute things, quote unquote. Um, she was kind of like crushing on Ochiko, Deku, Sue even, and so on and so forth. You know what I mean? That's yeah, and probably even to some degree Twice and stuff. I don't know if her and Twice were like that, but it's kind of like but she admired Twice and all that stuff, and like he meant a lot to her, you know. But outside of that, though, yeah, no, that's not something that I think should really be like supportive and stuff. Like that's toxic as hell. And of course, I'm like, yeah, no. And yeah, I mean, I know Ochiko reached out and was like, yeah, I understand. Well, I wouldn't say she understands, but she's like, well, I understand you've been through a raw deal, and you know what I mean, and offered even her blood because Toga likes to drink blood and all that stuff, and that she's been an outcast. So yeah, so that was a pretty good moment and stuff. But I'm just saying the bottom line is like, yeah, she was all those things. So why would Ochiko want to be with her though? You know. And not to mention, they're also supposed to be like arch rivals, much like Deku is to like Shigaraki and stuff. Like Toga was pretty much Ochiko's Shigaraki, basically. You know what I mean? They were arch rivals, arch nemesis, and all that, etc. So no, they should not be canonical lovers or anything. It's just completely one-sided on Toga's part. Okay, it's just that Ochiko feels a little sorry for her, but in a way, she also kind of considers her a little bit of a friend as well, for at least helping her, at least get in touch with her feelings about Deku and all that stuff. That's all. Then, of course, there's the whole male friendship between Deku and Bakugo that is completely misunderstood when there is literally nothing that implies that there was something more than that, more than just the, friendship between them, okay? Bakugo was Deku's childhood friend and his school bully as well. So why would Deku have romantic feelings for him based off of that? And I understand, okay, well, yeah, you can crush on your childhood friend. But we know these guys ain't gay, okay? But I'm going to get into that in a second. Now, throughout the series, their school rivals turned best friends. And along with Todoroki, the three are almost like brothers, okay? It's almost like Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles. And how some people try to like ship them even though they're just best friends. Now, ignoring the fact that there's an age difference between Sonic and Tails, and they're both technically adopted brothers, and Knuckles is just a friendly rival and a best friend of Sonic, okay? Or how all three have had feelings for like various women like Amy, Sally, Fiona, Cosmo, Zoe, Rouge, and even Sonya, which is Sonic's sister that Knuckles had crushed on back inside Sonic Underground. Now, another quick example would be about Falcon and Winter Soldier, where some shippers thought that there was something more to that than meets the eye. You know what I mean? Like, even though the actors had kind of turned it down, it was like, no, Sam and Bucky are not like that. And I'm glad they definitely said that too, because some actors nowadays would definitely be like, and it's like, no, they weren't like that in the comics and all that stuff either. Now, but yeah, even though if you watch Falcon and Winter Soldier, which I can understand most of you probably didn't because MCU's been kind of terrible lately, Bucky was flirting with Sam's sister. Like, they kind of had a bit of a thing going on. So like, why would that mean that Bucky's suddenly interested in Sam himself and not his sister, even though he was talking to her and everything, and Sam was like awkward and he was like, bro, no, leave my sister alone. But yeah, that was funny. But anyways, as for the Deku and Bakugo thing, they're just both straight men who are shy around girls, and yes, that goes for Bakugo as well. It's actually shown in like one of the last couple of chapters. Even though Bakugo doesn't have like a central love interest or anything, it's actually shown in the last couple of chapters that Bakugo is actually kind of shy around girls, actually, or at least girls that have an interest in him. Yeah, usually he kind of comes on a bit too strong, and his attitude and his behavior is usually repulsive. But when all those like new those first years and stuff back at UA, when they became second years, were starting to like like crowd up with Bakugo and Todoroki and stuff. Bakugo started to tense up and was like, hey, class president, did you not see that? They're breaking the rules. Like yeah. And then Deku was saying like, yeah, Bakugo's just a little shy because etc. Ever since we were kids, he just hasn't been like that with like girls like that. So it's just because he's shy. But anyways, yeah. And if you ship them, I mean, that's fine too. Like, I mean, hell, you can ship Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, whatever, or ship Deku with Bakugo. I don't really care. But just don't take it as like, oh, this should be canon, or don't try to block the creator because he didn't have your way on like social media or something like that, which is honestly just straight up petty, you know. Like the real people that actually do that, they're probably just some women, honestly. And I know I'm probably gonna be sexist or whatever, but I'm just being honest. It's usually the yaoi yuri shippers and stuff. Probably some women that were probably into My Hero Academia for the slice of life aspect. Which I mean, yeah, that was definitely one of the strong appeals for like why a lot of girls like to check out My Hero Academia, and that's probably the reason why. But you know, they like the slice of life, the school drama, and all that stuff. You know, and then they didn't come here for the shonen and the action and all that stuff and the growth and development that you know guys like myself, especially back when I was a teenager, understood. You know, like what I was going through and stuff like that or whatever. You know what I mean? So yeah, because I mean, like I said, obviously, yeah, Deku and Bakugo, they're straight men. Like you just can't fight it. But like I said, but if it really bothers you that much, just do fan art, fan fiction, head cans, whatever. I don't care. But it ain't canon though. And the creator Kohei Hirakoshi has pretty much said as much himself, pretty much, you know. So that's just how it is. Yeah, like how I already said. Yeah, Bakugo is like Deku's childhood friend, his school bully, then eventually like his school rival and best friend and stuff, you know. So I mean, but that doesn't mean like, oh well, I have feelings for Bakugo all of a sudden, even though we saw like, you know, in the first couple of episodes of like My Hero Academia, if you actually paid attention when like Deku first met Ojiko, clearly his feelings for Ojiko or his interaction with, well, when he first, you know, was like when Ojiko was like talking to her, and I'll get into this in a second. Clearly, Deku's reaction and all that stuff was clearly different compared to Bakugo's, where his was more so like, I can be a hero too, stop putting me down, and then, you know, I'm going to rescue him and all that, save him and all that, you know what I mean, because, you know, we're old childhood friends and stuff like that or whatever, and I don't think I have what it takes to be a hero, but I'm going to beeline to save him anyways, and then, you know what I mean, and then later on, like I said, the school rivals and all that stuff, obviously they have a terrible, like, especially for Bakugo, they have a terrible time getting along until eventually they work together a lot more, and then, you know what I mean, yeah. And then I think I remember online somebody was saying something about like Bakugo. Oh yeah, Bakugo would fight for Deku. He would kill for Deku and stuff like that. Okay, I'm like, who wouldn't? Like for your friend, that doesn't mean like you're in love with them or something. Like that's stupid. Like yeah, because I think I saw like somebody was talking about something. Oh yeah, and then Bakugo also has a Porsche now and stuff, and he's got money. And Ochiko, her face is round, and she was allegedly poor. And I'm like, bro, what are you talking about? Okay, yeah, I wouldn't say Ochiko was poor, but she was low class. She didn't have like her parents were struggling to bring in money like that. They worked as like construction workers and stuff like that. I don't know how much money you really make like that as a construction worker, but that was one of her inspirations was to become a hero to kind of help them out with their financial problems. Okay, that's for starters. And then second off, I'm like, I don't know why you attacking Ochiko's looks, but okay, fine. And then Bakugo, I'm like, yeah, I mean, as a friend, like, even if it was, like, let's say my best friends or something like that, or my family, of course, you know what I mean? Of course I would fight, or I would kill for them if I had to, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. But that doesn't mean, like, oh, we're totally in love or and stuff like that. Like, no. Not necessarily. But anyways, yeah, but that would kind of be like another example I had, like Yu Yu Hakusho. Like, you got Yusuke, Urameshi, and you got Kuwabara. Like, yeah, Yusuke and Kuwabara, they're both school rivals, right? But just because they're school rivals and stuff doesn't mean like, oh yeah, we're totally in love. Even though Yusuke is clearly in love with Keiko, who again is one of his childhood friends, female friend that he's obviously very attracted to, and all that stuff. You know what I mean? Or he's always like, you know, whenever Keiko's name is brought up or played with and stuff, Yusuke all of a sudden starts fighting harder than he normally does. Whether it was that guy Suzaku from the Ghost File season, whether it was Toguro, yeah, not Deku, Yusuke was going hard over Keiko, okay? And then obviously by the end of the series, Yusuke and Keiko got married. Kuwabara, obviously, you know, he has feelings for Hiei's sister. What was her name? Kowina? Or, sorry, I'm messing up my Yu Yu Hakusho lore. Yukina, my bad, yeah. But yeah, so like it's just like, yeah, obviously like yeah, they're bros and stuff now. I mean, yeah, they were school rivals and stuff like that. Got into constant fights, but I mean, they became like best friends and almost as close as brothers and stuff. Like brothers in arms. That's how a male friendship is like. But not yeah, we're definitely gay for each other. Like what the fuck, you know? But anyways, but yeah, that's all I had to say for the whole Deku Bakugo thing. All right, so I'm going to go into a little depth here about their relationship and stuff. Now, Ochiko was the first girl that Deku, in his own words, had first talked to. Okay, even though Ochiko did most of the talking when they first met, and Deku was kind of blushing and was like, "Oh my God, I actually talked to a girl," even though he didn't say a word. But okay, and pretty much how they saved each other during the entrance exams, or how yeah, like they both saved each other during the entrance exams, and hell, Ochiko even went above and beyond and actually like went to President Mike, if I'm not mistaken, and was like, "Hey, you know that kid with that all with the freckles and the green hair? Um, is it possible? Like, I know he was saying that he didn't have a whole lot of points to get in, but is it possible that he can like that I can share some of my points with him and stuff like that? Is that not a good natured girl right there?" And like, yeah, so I'm just saying, like, come on. And don't forget, like, Bakugo kind of, he was, even though Bakugo was the one that gave Deku the nickname Deku in the first place, it was kind of Ochiko who was the one that convinced him to keep it because she actually liked it, okay? And she convinced him that it was definitely a name that maybe he can turn it, like, he can turn that name into something for a hero and all that stuff. Because technically, it is because of her that most of us do call him by that name now, more so than his actual name, Izuku Midoriya. Even though he was kind of simping a bit, but he definitely took those words to heart. And then there's plenty of other examples, like how they both inspire each other or have fond memories together. Or the fact that Hirakoshi was inspired by Naruto, and how Ochiko and Hinata have some similarities and even the same birthday on December 27th, coincidentally. Okay? But I can go on all day about this, pretty much. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is, man. Alright, so here's my conclusion. It's kind of like when people get mad when the destined relationship turns out over their personal ship sometimes. Much like Naruto ending up with Hinata or Ichigo ending up with Orihime, when both was pretty obvious, okay? And that's not to say that Sakura or Rugia couldn't have possibly ever worked out, but there's always stuff against it, or there's some stuff against it. Like, for starters, like Ichigo and Rugia, their dynamic is definitely not like that. Alright, like it's not that way. Like obviously, yeah, like they both have a mutual respect for one another, of course, and they both, of course, care about each other as like friends and almost like family in a way. Kind of like like we're like cousins or we're like a brother and a sister. And like Rukia definitely helped mentor Ichigo on how to be like Soul Reaper and all that stuff. During because he was the one that was substituting for her, so there is that. But anyways, but nah, it's not like we're lovers and stuff like nah. Not to mention, usually in Bleach, like Ichigo's, come to think of it, is usually around a lot of tough girls or tomboyish girls anyways. So yeah, why wouldn't he want to get with a girl like Orihime, who's, pretty feminine, very attractive, large chest and everything, and also has feelings for him. So I'm like, yeah, so yeah. And not to mention, when I first started watching Bleach, it was actually around like that whole, I think it was around that time when Ichigo was fighting like Grimjow and stuff. Or actually, no, that was when I started reading it, actually, in the Shonen Jump magazine. Like, I remember, like, Ichigo was fighting Grimjow and stuff, and, like, he was losing, and Orihime started to cheer on Ichigo, and Ichigo looks back at Orihime, and then he looks at Grimjow and was like, alright, Grimjow, you hear that? I just can't lose this fight now. Like, yeah, like, obviously, yeah, he starts fighting harder and beats the guy. So, I'm just saying, like, yeah, man. Yeah, it's pretty obvious that he has feelings for her, you know what I mean? Or the same thing with, like, the whole, like, that whole Naruto and Sakura thing. I mean, even though apart from like Naruto and Sakura being teammates, and how many times like Sakura's turned down Naruto because she just kind of prefers more mature men than more mature men like Sasuke, for example. Even though I understand that, yeah, Sakura also has some feelings for Naruto here and there, but it just didn't really click like that, like it did with Sasuke for starters, and for Naruto and stuff. He already like Hinata was already somebody that had feelings for him and stuff, which he didn't know until like later and stuff. It was like, oh, that makes so much sense and all that stuff, and he also had feelings for her back and stuff, and realized like how strong of a character she was and everything. But I would definitely talk about that at some point. because I'm actually going to do a retrospective Naruto last because the 10-year anniversary is actually coming up. It's actually going to be in a few days from where I'm recording, so it's going to be on the 6th. So I'm going to rewatch the movie. I actually have it on DVD, but I'll explain everything there. But yeah, I mean, things happen. So yeah, and like pretty much, like Ochiko, she's pretty much inside that same boat as as Orihime and Hinata, where yeah, she has a crush on the main protagonist. She watched over him from a distance, watching him grow and develop and get stronger and stuff, and has been with him through the worst. Okay, so yeah, I'm just saying. But yeah, and while I'm at it, I'm going to actually throw the boys in the bus real quick because I just love to just throw the boys under the bus, especially in favor of like My Hero Academia or maybe Invincible and stuff sometimes. But let me just go with this one. So first off, are you just telling me that Starlight or that Ochiko is a problematic character when we have like a character like Starlight, where she's in a relationship similar like how Ochiko is with like Deku, who's kind of a nerdy guy, with Huey, who's a bit of a nerdy guy himself, a little skittish and stuff, where she's kind of put him down in the relationship and all that. It was like, oh, well, I thought you didn't mind a girl being stronger than you and stuff, but you know what I mean? Like from that, what was it, the 3rd season of The Boys? Even though like Huey was like, yeah, and don't get me wrong, I understand like what she was saying about him taking Temp V was kind of dumb. Kind of got some results, but hey, it could have killed him too if he kept taking it. So there is that. But no, I mean, but his reasoning for wanting to take it though was so that he could at least find a way to kind of contribute and pull his own weight and stuff, and he wanted to feel like he could protect his girlfriend and all that, but she didn't want to understand that. Or the recent season where I'm not going to go into too many details, but when a lot of sexual stuff happened to Huey and all that stuff, and then Starlight kind of shames him for it, for one of those things, and I'm just like, really? I'm like, really? But nah. But apparently Ochiko is a problematic character, right? Or let's see, or what else has Starlight done? Or the fact that she's back in her childhood, even before she met Huey, she spread around rumors and stuff about a girl that was competing against her, Firecracker and stuff, talking about, oh, well, she was a slut and all that, and she slept around to get her way. I don't see Ochiko doing that, right? Or what else? Or you know what I mean? It's just stuff like that. I'm like, are you? You're kidding me, right? Ochiko is like a million times better way better of a character than Starlight. All right, it's had actual heroic moments and stuff. She didn't have to kill an innocent man who actually had a child of his own and say that, oh, and coldly remark, oh, he's just in the way. You know what I mean? But that's pretty much all I'm just doing. I just wanted to trash the boys a little bit. But anyways, I just want, but really personally what I want from My Hero Academia at this point is that I want Deku's powers to return. I'm not really a huge fan of the whole Iron Suit thing or him losing his powers to begin with. I mean, it made sense for like All Might or Mr. Aizawa because they're kind of like, they're the old heads here and they're losing their powers and stuff and making way for the new generation. So it didn't make sense for Deku to also lose his powers as well, even though he's supposed to be like, using it to become a good hero and to, succeed All Might, which makes all the sense in the world, but whatever, right? But even though, I've also mentioned there's like 3 ways that Deku can get his powers back, but so hopefully maybe they might do a side story or a spinoff where they, where they go off of something like that, or hell, who knows, they might they might add in something new, I guess. But I do want Deku's powers to come back. I want him to become the new #1 hero, as he should, because that was something that was being built up, and he was always, even though, yeah, Deku was always like, well, I want to become the symbol of peace like All Might, which doesn't mean becoming the #1 hero. Still, I mean, what about all those times when he was competing against Bakugo or Todoroki and stuff, And we followed Deku's perspective, and we wanted him to, like, be the best, Or him and Ochiko to actually kiss for once, yeah. Yeah, that's right. I do want Deku and Ochiko to finally kiss on screen and stuff, lips and everything. Not this, oh, we're blushing, whatever, awkwardness or whatever. No, they got to kiss. I wanted to see them kiss, okay? And I also want Deku to call Ochiko by her name, by Ochiko. I know he always calls her Uraraka, which is, her family name and all that stuff. I understand that in, Japan. usually, you know, like you call people by their last names and stuff like that, or by their family name, compared to like over here in America where we usually, you know, go off of like just calling each other by our first names. And then, you know, private family in Japan, they obviously call each other by their first names and stuff like that. But still, I'm just saying, I do want Deku to officially call her Ochiko, and I want them to also kiss on screen canonically. Okay? And hell, I could probably draw it out myself if I wanted to, which I probably will later on. But I'm just saying. But anyways, that's all I want, pretty much. But at least we're getting something from this recent chapter where they're at least solving one of the problems that the finale had. Now, that's pretty much the end of my video. I hope you guys liked. I know I kind of went on rambling for a bit. But yeah, this is the John Low Fox, and I'm out. Plus Sotra.